So this morning, I set my alarm, set it to radio static wake up. Nothing works better for those of you who are interested. And set it to 4:30 a.m. and woke myself for the Champions League final. And got to tell you, when I woke up, I was part drowsy, part nervous. You know, my hands are shaking, my my hands are shaking, and but I'm just sort of in this sort of stupor. I'm just. Anyway, I woke up, walked into my front room and turned on television at SBS and started watching the Champions League. And I had feared, some people thought it was going to be this sort of masterclass performance from both teams, but I had a fear that it would be like the 2007 FA Cup, during which Manchester United and Chelsea played out a dull, scoreless draw until Didier Drogba finally won the match for Chelsea in extra time. And and I for a while it looked like it was going to be a similar match. There was sort of flashes of or rather sparks of anger or sort of passion there. You know, Paul Scholes charged down Makelele, and received a boot in his face in reward, I think. And not a fair trade, but it was good to see Scholes putting in some passion for the Champions League final, which he so cruelly missed out on in 1999. He was such a key player that year. In particular, his goal against Inter Milan. I can still remember the commentators, the words of the commentator. Paul Scholes is waiting underneath it. He's done it. And so thankfully Ronaldo scored an early goal. It was a great goal. Hargreaves set it up from the right side. He did a neat 1-2 with Brown, or rather Brown did a neat 1-2 with Hargreaves, whichever you take. But anyway, Brown put in a great cross, and Ronaldo sort of floated almost up into the air. You see pictures, and he just looks like he's suspended there, indefinitely, and he's just there. It was his moment to score this goal, and that's the sort of the beautiful things which come forward in soccer and in sport in general. And Petr Cech was stranded at this point. Then Manchester United pushed, and Tevez came ridiculously close. He set up. He had a shot, and Cech saved it. And then Carrick came along and fired it straight at Cech. Interesting aside, for those of you who saw the game, or for those of you who didn't see the game, the commentators were saying that Cech's crazy coloured uniform was like a fluoro orange, was chosen because he believed that strikers always shoot at a target, so he was making himself, or peacocking himself, to make himself look as sort of enticing as possible. And on this case it worked, because he did a fantastic double save. Cech's obviously one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And Manchester United kept pushing. There was a cross in from the right, and Tevez again was involved. He ran forward to try and hit the ball into the net, but just missed it. Cech came a little late. If Tevez had connected, I think there would have been a goal. But in the end, the Chelsea were able to defend and get the ball away. And then, right on the stroke of half time, and I must admit, I put my hands to my mouth at this point, because Lampard scored what is quite possibly the luckiest goal I have ever seen in professional soccer. The ball was exchanged a couple of times close to the midfield in Chelsea's half, and I think it was Essien ran on and hit a shot, and that shot took at least 2 deflections, and it was as if he hit it into a tunnel which popped it out perfectly for Frank Lampard. It bounced off one United back, which bounced onto another United back, which bounced the ball perfectly into the path of Lampard, who was running on. And then in addition, Van der Sar slipped. Talk about bad luck, but a great finish from Frank Lampard. Take nothing away from him, he's a good player. And so went to the half even, and I thought, okay, I'm a little nervous now, because admittedly I'm a Manchester United fan, and usually what happens Sorry, my computer's playing up a bit. And usually what happens is Manchester United scores a goal, and then the opponent equalises and dominates for the rest of the match, and I bite my nails to shreds while I hope we don't concede. And the second half did prove this fear true. Chelsea completely dominated. By the end of the second half, they had like 17-9 scoring shots, despite being completely outplayed in the first half. They were killing us. I think they probably even ended up with a greater possession than we did. It was an imperious second half performance from Chelsea, and in several instances before the close of the game, they came really close. There was Drogba's shot onto the post, which came in extra time. There was Lampard's shot on the post, which came in, I think, in extra time. It was just so many poster shots. Some people have said that Manchester United had the same luck when they played Bayern Munich. There was a bicycle kick in that match, which came off the crossbar. Pardon me. And they sort of said, seeing it as an omen, that because all these shots were hitting the bar, Manchester United was somehow going to win. I think that's rubbish, but it's nice to give yourself a little bit more confidence on these nerve-shredding nights. And so, game went into penalties, and saw Tevez coming forward, and I was pretty confident he'd get it. Sure enough, popped it away very nicely, bottom right corner, and then it was Ballack, and again I was pretty sure he'd kick it away, but I was hoping that Van der Sar would save it, just because Ballack's been so crucial, and it would be a psychological blow of sorts to see such an important player miss his penalty. However, I was left eating my words when, after I think it was Carrick and then Belletti scored, Ronaldo stepped up to the spot, and I thought he might miss. I knew he scored against Wigan, and I knew he'd missed against Barcelona in the first leg. He stepped up, stunted his run, and then hit what was pretty much a horrible penalty. It was a great save by Cech nonetheless. Ronaldo doesn't make anything easy, but he delayed long enough to basically make it impossible, unless he make it nearly impossible for him to score. Cech was given the initiative by his stunted run up, because there was no sort of surprise factor. There was no immediacy to the strike. Cech was just waiting. All right, where are you going, Ronaldo? Where are you going? Where are you going? Oh, you're going. Oh, you're going that way. And he saves it. Good on him. As I said, Cech's a great goalkeeper, and this did nothing to allay my nerves. And the free kicks, the penalties kept going in. Van der Sar kept the next two penalties taken by Chelsea were agonisingly close to saves, especially Andy Cole's save with Ashley Cole's shot, which was it seemed like Van der Sar had grabbed it almost with both hands, but it just had the force to push past. So Nani stepped up, scored the goal, and then John Terry stepped up. And I held my breath. And it hit the bar. And I let out a huge sigh of relief. Huge! And I, at the same time, well, I'm not one of those fans who just basks in the glory of defeating the opposition. It's just the victory. And whenever a game's finished, no matter how passionately I've followed my team, I immediately feel sorry for the team which has lost, because it's just a complete comparative juxtaposition of feelings. And when John Terry sank, I was relieved, and I was glad he missed, but I felt sorry for him. Still, it didn't cost his team the game yet. It ultimately would, but sorry, my computer's playing up. And And so the next two penalties were calmly taken. Anderson bashed his pretty much straightforward. Giggs bashed his to the side, and Nicholas Anelka. To be honest, I'm not sure why Chelsea bought him. He's a good player. He was certainly good for Arsenal, and he can score some pretty freaky goals. But I don't think he was worth the amount they paid for him. Anyway, he stepped up. Van der Sar saved, and the rest's history. For all those who watched it, and for those who are watching the video, thanks. I'm sure you all had a great time. Glory, glory, Man United.